Hi everyone, it's Kiera of the Irvine home, Evanna's mom, and this is part 2 of my video series of frequently asked questions. So let's proceed with some of the other questions I got. Some of the questions is, where are you, where do you live, and not city-wise, but where do you sleep at the hospital, where does your family live in reference to the hospital, and why the hospital switches, and so we are from Calgary, Alberta, up here in Canada, and as far as in reference to the hospital here in Calgary, we live on the very south end of Calgary. Calgary is a big city. It's a city of over 1 million people, and we live in the very deep southeast, and the Children's Hospital is in the deep northwest. So we don't necessarily live the closest to the hospital. It does take a good 40 minutes to drive across the city. We contemplated maybe moving up to the north, but at the same time, after talking to a few other trach families, you also want to live where your support is. So we're not considering moving to the northwest as much as we were. And why do we keep going back and forth between Edmonton and Calgary? So here in Western Canada, the best place to go for pediatric cardiovascular surgery is in Edmonton at the Stollery Children's Hospital. Here in Calgary, they don't have a pediatric cardiovascular surgeon at all. So in our whole city and at the Children's Hospital, there is not a cardiac surgeon to help. Like, of course, in adults, it's different. There's definitely adult cardiac surgeons, but not for pediatrics. From my understanding, there is a program in Vancouver. They're just building up their cardiac program out in Vancouver, but it's still pretty far from where we live. And from my understanding, they only deal with more basic heart defects, and they're still supposed to send their most complex cases to Edmonton. And I would go to Edmonton. The only two places in Canada that deal with very complex heart defects is Sick Kids in Toronto and the Stollery up in Edmonton. So why the switch back and forth? So of course we went up to Edmonton to have Evanna's surgery. The reason why we keep transferring back is because, we're trying to work towards going home. So and the trach and the vent definitely complicates that, because I've definitely gotten the comment of, why not just stay in Edmonton? Well, because Evanna's trach and vented, we need to get home care set up, and we can't get home care set up being in Edmonton. We need to be back in Calgary. We need to have the training done here and the home care set up from Calgary. So that's kind of why we transferred down here to Calgary. The Children's Hospital here in Calgary is a phenomenal facility. They're world-renowned in oncology and among a few other specialties, but the one thing they don't specialize in is cardio. So that's why we're always up in Edmonton. And then there are a few of the reasons why it seems like we keep bouncing back and forth between the Stollery in Edmonton and the Children's Hospital here in Calgary. And that's because whenever Evanna's gotten really sick, it's just been safer for her to be up in Edmonton. And the reason why is there's a machine called ECMO. It's a machine used as a last resort. It works as a lung and heart. Evanna's never needed ECMO yet, but she's been on ECMO alert a few times. And not only does Evanna have a unique heart defect, but she also wasn't born with the right SVC. So when they go to cannulate a person, whether it be a child or an adult, onto ECMO, they would cannulate through your right superior vena cava. Evanna doesn't have one. I think she's got a left one, and it goes across her body versus just straight down into her heart. And so here in Calgary, because there's no cardiac surgeon, they can't cannulate Evanna onto ECMO. But up in Edmonton, they have a cardiac surgeon to open up Evanna's chest to put her onto ECMO. So again, even though we've never actually had to proceed putting Evanna on ECMO, whenever Evanna's gotten so sick, and that is kind of our next step, it's been safer for Evanna to be in Edmonton. So that's why we're always bouncing back up to Edmonton, because Evanna gets really sick and it's for her own safety to be up there. But then we always bounce back to Calgary because we're trying to work towards being discharged. So that's why we've had the 7 or 8 transfers between Edmonton and Calgary, twice by Stars. We've had to take a Stars helicopter from Calgary up to Edmonton because the ICU plane wasn't fast enough. Those were definitely scary. and and Edmonton is just, when it comes to Evanna, they're the best. Like, I'm not saying Calgary's unqualified. The children's hospital down here is amazing, and a lot of the intensivists that actually work down here were trained in Edmonton, and so they do know how to help Evanna. But when it comes to, like, they just don't have a cardiac surgeon, and Edmonton is the best place for Evanna, and we definitely have contemplated on moving up to Edmonton, and we definitely could, as far as, my husband and I could both get jobs up in Edmonton tomorrow because of our skills, but at the same time, we do have a very capable facility here in Calgary with capable physicians that can care for her, and this is where our home is, and this is where our family is, this is where our support is, and the support, now that Evanna's trained and invented, support is huge, and that is why we're also not even moving up to North Calgary while we're staying in the South. So hopefully that answers those questions of where we live and why we keep bouncing back and forth between Edmonton and Calgary. Do we sleep at the hospital? For the last few weeks, I haven't wanted to be public about this, and it's just because people like to be judgmental. I know people don't have a right to judge, but at the same time, people still, I've made our journey very public, and so I've opened up ourselves to that judgment. But I guess now that I'm on video, I can fully explain that no, we are not sleeping at the hospital at nighttime, even though Evanna is now out of the ICU, but there are several reasons why. First, it's what we've been doing since the beginning. Up in Edmonton, the ICU up in Edmonton is an open unit. So we got a little office chair beside Evanna's bed, and that was it. It's like you had no option to sleep at the hospital. When we transferred down here to Calgary to the ICU here, they could pull in a little bed beside, but it was very uncomfortable, and there was kind of no point to staying overnight. Evanna's usually sleeping in the ICU. She has one-to-one nursing care, and usually when she's in the ICU, she's still pretty sick. When she got transferred up to the unit, we definitely contemplated sleeping, but after talking to several trach families, both local and some of my American trach family friends, and talking to our medical physicians and our nurses and social workers, we've just decided it's best to continue what we're doing and keep going home at night. Evanna sleeps at night. She's not at a stage where she cries if we leave the room. People ask me, how do you keep going? I can't believe, how do you and your husband keep doing this? And this is why, because we go home, we get our own bed, and we have a good night's sleep in our own bed. And you just don't get those good night sleeps at the hospital. If our child was in the hospital for a month, okay, but we just surpassed the 11-month mark in the hospital, and it's better that we go home and sleep than burn out, and that's a fear actually that the hospital has, and that's why they actually encourage Nick and I to go home and sleep. And it's because they've had patients like Evanna come in like this and have a very long hospital stay, and the parents burn out and then stop showing up. And so it's just better overall that we keep ourselves refreshed and that's what keeps us going. So, and the other reason too is, yes, technically Evanna doesn't have one-to-one nursing care, but she also doesn't have the 3 or 4-to-1 nursing care that the rest of the unit gets. Because she has a trach and a vent, she's down a very special hallway that gets 2-to-1 nursing care, and so she's still heavily watched, and there's a lot of alarms that still go off, and she's very well watched and very well loved, and she still gets a lot of attention. And we leave at nighttime, and she usually sleeps most of the night anyways, so that's kind of why. And kind of also the very last reason why I finally made the decision that we can continue to go home at night and sleep is when we do bring Evanna home, we are going to be bringing her home to home care. So when we bring Evanna home, we're going to have nurses in our home at nighttime who are watching her. So that's kind of the whole reason. If anyone wants to judge us for going home and leaving the hospital at night, be my guest, I guess. I've actually, unless you've been in our shoes and had a child in the hospital for as long as we have, you can't, you just don't know what it's like. And it's just, again, if this was a month or two, it's totally different, but we're almost at a year in the hospital, and it's just not feasible to stay. And That's my answer. I would like to know what your day looks like, just your typical day, what your living arrangements, Ronald McDonald House, and your husband seemed like a great team. So we're not, now that we're back in so when we were in Edmonton, absolutely, we stayed at the Ronald McDonald House up in Edmonton. I love that place. It was actually pretty great. We had, the Ronald McDonald House and the Stolley Children's Hospital are kind of like right by each other, so it only took me a few seconds to drive to the hospital. Here in Calgary, because we're home, we obviously can't stay at the Ronald McDonald House, but at the same time, it's kind of nice to be back in our own home. So as far as what our day looks like, I usually get up around 7, 8 o'clock, get ready for the day. I try to be out of the door by 8:30, and I usually end up at the hospital between 9 and 9:30, depending on what time I actually get out of the door and traffic. So, and then as far as the day at the hospital, during the week it's usually busy, lots of doctors coming in, between different specialties, between our own purple team doctor and nursing care. I usually, some of the first things I do is we do trach care, so we help clean Evanna's site, doing physio. I don't know, we don't really have a set schedule yet. We're just getting out of ICU life, so we're just kind of getting used to, and we're trying to slowly get into a routine. Lately, Evanna hasn't been wanting to nap during the day, so she's awake all day long, but then it means she sleeps all night long, so I guess that's a good thing. Nick likes to read books with her a lot. I read books, but not as much as he does. I'm more of a let's watch a Disney movie, so her and I like to watch at least a movie a day on the tablet, play with toys, physiotherapy, trying to get her sitting up, and that's kind of, I don't know, there's not much to our day. I'm sure as we progress and move along and get closer to home, we'll get more and more into a pattern and or a schedule. So, and then I usually leave close to 9:30 depending on the day. So that's kind of our schedule. I've got a few questions about how much longer we're going to be in the hospital, when do you think we're going to be discharged, and are we scared about bringing her home? So as of right now, we know we are for sure going to meet our 1-year mark in hospital, but we are aiming for a close to Christmas discharge, if all goes well and Evanna doesn't choose to throw any more curveballs. So I've been told that a Christmas discharge is realistic and feasible at this point, so that's kind of our goal right now. And are we scared to bring Evanna home? No, I can't wait. I feel like Nick and I will be so prepared. We're doing our trach training. We know Evanna so well. We've been with her every single day of this, and we know, if in fact the doctors are always coming in asking us, like, how do you think Evanna's doing? What is she like? Do you think she's doing okay? Like, they ask me and Nick all the time how we think Evanna's doing, and so I feel like we know we can do this. We have been doing this for so long, despite the fact that my husband has medical training, we know how to care for Evanna, and I just can't wait to bring her home. I'm not scared. It's gonna be maybe the first night. I might not sleep a wink, but I'm not scared. I'm just excited, and I can't wait to bring her home. I'm gonna have a big party. There's gonna be a big party involved. So I got a few random questions at the end, so I thought I would answer them now. And the first one is, if you have any other children, could they have the same condition as Evanna? So when we got Evanna's genetic testing back, Nick and I were then tested, and we both came back negative, so she didn't get the 22q from either Nick or myself, and but it's a random chromosomal defect, so we have the same chance of it happening again as it can happen to anyone. But that's why I'm so public about our journey, and I'm so much about both heart awareness, trach awareness, and 22q awareness. It's 22q deletion 11 awareness day is coming up here in November, so I'll be definitely spreading some facts about that up on the blog and Facebook page and Instagram. So I guess my biggest message is what happened to Nick and I, while it is very unique, it's something that can happen to anyone. Nick and I were two healthy individuals going to start a family, and this is just a random but common chromosomal defect, and it's pretty common, and it can happen to, it's more common than you would think, and though I never heard about it, it's out there and it can happen to anyone. So while the risks are very low of it happening again, we still have those risks because anybody has those risks. Second question, how has your family had to adapt to Evanna's needs? Right now her needs are in the hospital, so our life right now revolves around the hospital. I'm currently still off work, Nick is still working, and we just kind of, at the moment, have made we've just gotten to since we've been back to Calgary, we've gotten into a good system and groove. You know, when he works, he will try and stop by, depending on which day in his rotation, especially on his long change, he'll come by and I will leave the hospital early, and then on his days off, we take turns taking a day off just to recuperate and catch up on things. Often I have to catch up on social media commitments that I've made, as a lot of people want me to help out with things, which I'm definitely having a hard time saying no, but it's alright because it keeps me busy. So when we go home, it's, you know, we will have to adapt, like we have to change her room around, and we've just had to do so much learning. Like, there's so much learning and training involved, so that's kind of, I guess, adapting. And you know, we definitely want to have more kids, but you know, we've had to adapt and kind of push that off a little bit. Not as long as some people would think that we are going to. We definitely still want to have another baby in the near future, but you know, Evanna's definitely she's definitely prolonged that a little bit, but I definitely think another baby will be good. So I'm not pregnant now, just putting it out there. Getting my last bit of questions. Are you sad or upset that Evanna hasn't had the normal first year? Absolutely. Like, it's devastating. You know, when I married Nick, I had this total vision in my head of how things were supposed to go, and this is definitely not how things are supposed to go. So it's definitely been devastating, and you know, it's, as much as social media has been great in meeting other people and putting awareness out there and meeting other Heart and Trach and 22Q families, and you know, and building a support system that way, it also is hard seeing, like, this past summer has been so hard. Like, while we've still been in hospital, it's been so hard to see other people just living a normal life and going on family vacations and holidays and whatnot. Like, you know, we've pretty much had every holiday now in the hospital. We're about to have a second Halloween in the hospital, second Thanksgiving in the hospital, so hopefully we don't have a second Christmas in hospital, but you know, you never know. And it's been hard, and we'll technically get all those firsts, we'll still get them. You know, yes, Evanna's 16 months old, but because she was pretty much sedated and intubated for such a long period, I would put her cognitively closer to 6 months old. So we still have a baby, like, she's still like a baby, and so we'll still get to see her do all these milestones. They're definitely going to be, you know, very well celebrated, because every milestone Evanna's had to work, you know, triply hard for. But you know, we still haven't, I don't think we've missed out on anything, because we'll still get those with Evanna. But it's still been, you know, this has been the hardest year of my life, you know, absolutely. And I know we still have a ways to go, and things are still so uncertain at this point. So yeah. Do I ever feel alone? Not really. You know, if anything, I feel like I'm getting pulled in so many directions. You know, I've got commitments as a wife, I've got commitments as a mother, I've got, you know, then I've got my friends from still before all of this, so, you know, like my best friend and my sister and our families have been so supportive, which I know I'm very lucky for that, because you know, I know a lot of families, both Heart and Trach families, who don't have the family support that we do, and our family is so invested and so involved, and they all want to learn how to, not necessarily care for Evanna so they can actually take her, but they want to, you know, when it comes to her therapies and learning how to suction, I know they definitely want to be involved. So, and then I've met so many amazing new families, both local and both, you know, around the world, and you know, I've got a few trach families that live close by, and a lot of heart families that I obviously met in Edmonton and Calgary. And then online through Instagram, oh my goodness, I built some incredible relationships. And you know, Kalia and Natalie and Stephanie, you know, these ladies on Instagram, I'm always texting them, and they're always messaging me and checking in, and they just know what I'm going through, and they know, and they just get it, and it's just, so I don't think I feel alone, you know. And I have my husband, and you know, so we've got each other. And sometimes, you know, this being at the hospital, sometimes we don't get as much time together, but at the same time we do, because then it's still easy for us to get away for a date night. We'll see what happens when Evanna comes home. It'll be slightly harder, but we still have our friends, and we still hang out once in a while and try to plan things and try to still have somewhat of a normal life when feasible. And we always have visitors. I love when visitors come, whether it's people we kind of know, or you know, our people that, or our close friends and family. I love visitors. They're the highlight of my day, and we're very blessed with many visitors and people who want to come and see Evanna and meet her. So I don't think I feel alone. It's just, and I don't feel isolated, and it's just exhausting. This is a fun one. I got, what's your favorite weapon up? And then I got 2 questions about her headbands. So Evanna's got quite a few weapon up soothers. Nick thinks her favorite one is the cow one. It was a special gift sent to us by a follower down in the States, and it's, I think, one of Nick's favorites, and it's cute because Evanna has a cow valve, so she's our little moo, so that was a really cute gift. So I think that's maybe her favorite weapon up. I like the fox one that she got. I don't know. And then hair bands and hair bows. Alright, and I also got a question about the outfits. So, all her hair, most of her hair headbands, are from mostly different Etsy and Instagram shops. I bought quite a few before Evanna was born, because I knew, you know, she was going to be born, have surgery, and would be able to wear clothes for a little bit. So I bought a handful then, but then as our journey grew and as my following grew, I've had more and more shops like find our story and just want to send her a headband, and it's been like the cutest thing ever. We've gotten so many headbands. As far as number, my best guesstimate is, I'd say we probably got, you know, 200-300 headbands, give or take. And I still get messages for people wanting to send some to her, and it's just so touching that, you know, that this was it's kind of become her thing, and it's kind of become her signature, and it's because people recognize that it's just the way I was able to dress my baby girl when I couldn't dress her up in those cute outfits, and now I'm able to, so it's been fun. I've been heading to, here in Canada, you know, I'm going to Superstore, the Joe collection, and Carter's and Oshkosh are probably my 2 favorite places to shop, and I've been driving Nick nuts and shopping for clothes, but it's been so fun because I can put clothes on Evanna and sleepers. That was such a big deal for me, putting a sleeper on Evanna, because she's got no IVs and lines and stuff. So yeah, if you follow me on Instagram, I usually tag where all her headbands are from, because they're from different Etsy and Instagram shops. So if I know where the headbands are from, I usually try to tag where they're from. So yeah, there you go. And the last 2 questions, one is, how do you see Evanna in 10 years? I hope she's here. You know, we have, we still consistently have conversations with our cardiologist, and while we don't know what, you know, while we know what tomorrow will bring, we don't know what next year will bring. And with everything that, with all the complications that Evanna has, she unfortunately is a big question mark. We don't know if we have 1 year with her, 1 more year with her, whether we've got 10, 20, 30, and we don't know. You know, medical science is always evolving, and there's so many amazing things happening with, you know, what's being developed in transplants and stuff. And I hope she's in school and has friends and is playing, and we have a few more, she's got some siblings, and this will kind of be a bit of a, while a distant memory, will be sorry. It's, Nick and I will pray. We pray for the best, and we have to hope for the best, but we also prepare for the worst, because that is our reality. People used to always say, things are fine, everything will be okay, everything will be fine, and we used to hate when people say that. And while on one coin, it's because, I feel like the only person who can say that to us is our cardiologist, and she hasn't and probably will never say those words to us because we don't know. And at the same time, I have a big philosophy that things will work out the way they're supposed to. That's what life is about. And so, yeah, to answer that question, I don't know. I hope we will have a bright and vibrant 10-year-old girl, but we will see, and only time will tell. And we just pray that she will continue on trucking and keep going and continue to stay strong. She has fought so many battles, and she's had so many things against her. The septic shock episode that she had on Canada Day, the mortality rate for a healthy individual is so high, and Evanna should not have lived. She should not be here today after Canada Day, and she fought through it. She is so strong, and she's, so we'll see. She's our little miracle, and she's continues to prove everyone wrong, and I hope she continues to prove our doctors wrong. So, and the very last question is, how is your family doing, and how can we best support you guys? I think despite everything, Nick and I have done phenomenally well. We, the support we've received has been so helpful, and I continue, and it's what's gotten me through. I'm very public about everything, unlike my husband. My husband's a bit more quieter, and he doesn't care for this social media stuff. He's appreciative of everything things we've received here and there, but he's definitely a bit more private, and that's how he copes. So we definitely cope in different ways. We both have moments of, we definitely have different moments of weakness. There's times where I have to be the strong one for the two of us, and there's lots of times where he has to be strong for the two of us. And and him going to work is definitely, he's had to take some time off here and there, but him continuing working has been helpful. His boss and his co-workers have been phenomenal and outstanding, and my blogging, which is what started all this, has been how I've coped. So I guess, we're doing the best we can despite everything. I've had a few people bring up, post-traumatic stress and depression, and I feel like, I know those resources. I don't think I'm depressed and whatnot. I have moments of anger, and I definitely have my bad days, but those are healthy and totally normal given our circumstances. And I feel like I've coped pretty darn well. I know though, maybe 5 years from the road, this will hit me, and if that's the case, then I definitely know we have resources to help. But as far as followers, what you guys can do is just continue to follow along, continue to educate yourselves on congenital heart defects, on DiGeorge syndrome, on trachs and whatnot, and continue to pray for Evanna and think of her. And I feel so blessed for the support we've received. It's just been outstanding, both local, from different organizations, both close by, and then just also the support from around the world. you know, for her birthday, that when everyone sent their birthday cards, that was outstanding. I still need to count them. I still think we got about 500 birthday cards for her birthday, and that was just I'm sure our mailman was like thinking, what the heck, and why is this mailbox getting so many birthday cards, and was probably questioning everything. But you know, but that just showed the love, and for something, such a simple request for such a little girl to see. And I've got all the birthday cards. They're out in they're actually in the hallway right now. And anyways, that concludes this video series of frequently asked questions. Thanks for bearing with me. Hope I didn't bore any of you. I got so many good questions, and I hope all my explanations were enough. And just maybe this video, it was a lot of work, these videos actually. I didn't realize what I was getting myself into, but maybe at the same time it's something I will continue to do. But first and foremost, I started out as a blogger, so I'll definitely continue to blog our journey and continue to document and share everything. So that's something I definitely will continue to do. So thank you so much for everything, the love, support, and prayers, and I just would appreciate the same moving forward, and can't thank you all enough, and can't ask for anything more. So thank you.